Yeah, I know, exactly. Did you go through your forms? Oh, and you get extra credit if you brought your form. We brought ours. Gift card. Gift card.
Standby button or anything?
Oh.
Oh, there we go. Hang on, I got it. Whoa, let's see. I just started pressing the button. Thank you.
Rash, how are you?
Good, how are you? No, we were just talking about that last night.
Okay, everybody hear me? I hate to use this microphone for such a small crowd that I can't talk today, so I'm going with it. So I am excited to announce that the School Employees Benefit Trust is going to roll out wellness centers. As most of you know, we are in a trust with 13 other school corporations. So this is new and it's exciting and it's going to be free. So that's why I want you all to really think about it, and hopefully we'll use these centers. They will provide you with full service care, and unless you have a health savings account, it will be free. If you do have a health savings account, it's only going to cost you $30. You'll be able to use your health savings account to pay for that. All wellness exams will still be free for you. The center will be available for you, your spouse, and your dependents up to age 26 who are enrolled on the insurance plan. I've sent emails and there's more materials up here provided to share with your spouse and your adult children. So make sure you take some if you need them. Our new wellness center is located in Elwood, Indiana. Excuse me. It's a 25-minute drive to get there. And although this would be our main location, it's an Activate location. The other Activate locations you will also be able to use. Those are located in Kokomo, and then early 18, it's going to be available in Bern, Indiana. Those are closer for you. Oh, it's Fort Wayne? Okay. Sorry, it's Fort Wayne?
Yeah, Fort Wayne.
Okay. Is that what it says there? It does, okay. Okay, so Lisa will have to talk about that. I'd like to introduce you today to Jason Gore. He's the Central Region Practice Manager for Activate. He's going to give you an overview of what's available at the center, and then he'll introduce Teresa Knapp, who's our provider at the Elwood location. And then at the end, if you have questions, we'll be happy to answer those for you as well.
Great, thank you, Jill. Can everybody hear me okay? I'll try not to use the mic. My wife usually tells me to keep my voice down anyway, so hopefully it projects okay. As Jill said, my name is Jason Gore. I run the Central Region, or support the Central Region, I should say, for Activate Healthcare in Indiana. We have actually 3 regions in Indiana, of which SEBT is going to cross across a couple, which is great. But basically, one of the main clinics I support is the Elwood Clinic, where Teresa works, and we have another person there as well we'll introduce in a second. We are thrilled to have the chance to work with you all. We are huge proponents of our own model, and the reason I say that is because we really feel like what we do supports people to really do what they need to do to get themselves healthier. That's really what we're all about, is to educate, to provide information to people, to help diagnose what they may be having going on within their own healthcare opportunities and challenges, and then provide them with the tools they need to really help themselves get better. So we're looking forward to get to know everybody and work with you all as well. Just a couple quick minute overview of Activate. You heard Jill mention Activate Healthcare Centers. Activate is a company that develops and operates healthcare centers with employer groups like schools, like unions, like manufacturing centers, things like that. Our clinics are only available to the folks that we contract with, so they're not available to the general public. So we can't just have somebody walk off the street and be seen in our clinic. It has to be an eligible patient, typically, as Jill mentioned, through the benefit plan. So employees, spouses, dependents on a benefit plan. We have clinics all over the state of Indiana. We have, I think, 33 clinics now. We also have clinics outside the state in different areas of the country. We're growing pretty quickly, which is great. Causes gray hair sometimes for some of us, but it's a great thing. And I would also say that we are an independent provider of clinics. So what I mean by that is that we are not, we actually act, look, feel just like a regular doctor's office, which means we're bound by the same regulatory and state and federal laws as well as a normal practice would be. So I just want to make sure everyone knows we don't share information. We don't provide information back to anybody. We're still bound by HIPAA and by patient confidentiality, so we don't provide information back even to the employer group as well. We do it in a blinded way sometimes just for volumes and things like that, but not on individual patients. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that ahead of time. Real quick, I wanted to just quickly introduce our team in Elwood. So Teresa Neff is one of them, and I'm thrilled she's here with me today. She's our nurse practitioner there in Elwood. She's been at the Elwood Clinic since it got going a year ago, roughly. So she's been through everything there to get it up and going and is doing a great job. The other person we have there is on the right, Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith joined us, I think it was in March or April of this year. He's there right now half-time, so he's there 4 days a week for 5 hours a day. So Teresa's full-time, so depending on when a patient may call, they may see or have the opportunity to see either Teresa or Dr. Smith, depending on the timing of the week as well as probably what they need as well. Just because they're on the same page, the Fort Wayne clinic up there, we have a new doctor up there named Dr. Kubacki. So if you would make your way up there, you may see him. Or Susan Shoey's our nurse practitioner up there. They're both a team that's been there a while, and they're a great team as well. So I'm confident that if you did make your way up to Fort Wayne, you'd have a great experience there as well. So I thought maybe now I'd just turn it over to Teresa and maybe tell a bit about yourself and your background and a bit about the clinic too.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming. My name is Teresa, and I'm a nurse practitioner. I've been doing primary care, and I first dabbled in orthopedics with my nurse practitioner degree. So I was in the OR and did inpatient rounding in the hospital systems as well, and then transitioned back into primary care, which is really my passion and love. And fell in love with the Activate model actually when I was in school and did some clinical rotations. The thing about Activate that is really profoundly different than other clinics that you may go to is that our focus is really on wellness, trying to get persons to their optimal health as quickly as possible. So we take the opportunity to do yearly annual wellness examinations for everyone for free, where we identify cholesterol, blood sugar, and any ailments that people come with, we can start to investigate those as well. So we do wellness, we do screening measures along with those wellness examinations, such as colonoscopy and the myriad of both male and female health. We also offer primary care, so people can choose a wellness track, or they can choose wellness and primary care. We treat conditions, commonly we treat asthma, COPD, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, but we take care of a myriad of problems as well. We also offer acute care, and for those persons who are not on the high deductible HSA, it's free. If you do have the high deductible HSA, you can use that HSA to pay for the $30 visit, and that will include meds and any labs that need to be drawn at that time. We offer meds at our clinic, so there's about 50 medications that are the most commonly prescribed, and those are free to people who access our clinic. The little caveat with that is if you have an alternative primary care provider, that's fine. You would need to see either Dr. Smith or myself just to make sure that that medication, we have reviewed it, that it's a good fit for you, and then we can certainly prescribe that to you along in conjunction with your primary care provider. So those meds would be free. And we have on our website a listing of which medications we do have in the clinic. And it is evolving, so if we see a medication that's repetitively prescribed by a primary care provider, we can certainly discuss getting that onto our formulary. Let's see. Our phone number is not on any of the material you have, so you might want to take this chance to jot it down, and I'll say it twice, or as many times as you need. It's 765-557-8696. Again, that's 765-557-8696. We do offer lab draws. Those will be free to you. If they need to be frozen, we cannot draw that lab. So if you have an alternative primary care provider and you are coming with labs, it is best to call ahead to make sure that we can draw all the labs before you take that 25-minute drive to get your labs drawn, because we don't want you to have to run back and forth if we can't draw your labs. So we do not have a freezer on site. So we can't draw any labs that don't need to be frozen, and we know what labs need to be frozen. So just give us a buzz and we can certainly walk you through that.
I would say we probably can handle about 90% maybe of
Yeah, I
draws,
think
give or
so.
take. So like Teresa said, there's a few that are super duper special handling we can't necessarily be able to support, but most labs I would say we probably can draw.
Most common labs, yeah, still need to be frozen.
I would also add, Teresa mentioned the call ahead for a lab draw. We actually are a call ahead or a scheduled ahead service. We don't act like an urgent care or an immediate care type center, so we do prefer that all patients call the clinic, make an appointment before you come in. Especially, as Teresa mentioned, from a little bit of distance to drive. I would hate to have somebody drive for 25, 30 minutes and get down there and we're booked, unfortunately, and wouldn't have a very good chance to work you in. So call ahead. Our goal is to get people in the same day or as quickly the next day as possible. Excuse me, so just please feel free to have that number handy and give us a call, and we can definitely chat about how to get you in as quick as possible. A couple of the things I was going to mention is the meds. As Teresa mentioned, we have around 50-ish. They're all high-quality generic meds, and they're very common meds that a lot of folks are on, things like metformin or high blood pressure meds or things like that for more chronic condition management. We do not carry any controlled substances at all, so I want to make sure we mention that up front. If there is a pain management type situation that we would be connected to, we would most likely refer that out. Or in fact, we would refer that out for a ongoing, longer-term type situation, because we actually don't manage chronic pain necessarily in our clinic. But most of the other types of meds we have, we can definitely provide those with no problem at all. And then relative to prescriptions as well, as Teresa said, just make sure we reinforce that we can prescribe a med, or I guess dispense a med prescribed by our own providers, but we cannot necessarily take an outside prescription, like you walk in with one off the street and we can fill it. We're not a CVS or a Walgreens or something like that, or Hooks. I don't know if Hooks even exists anymore, but like a retail pharmacy like that. So definitely you'd have to see one of our providers, which normally, you know, the provider would think, you can probably speak better than me, but would see the patient, understand the diagnosis, understand the medical history, and most likely agree with that med or something very similar and be able to prescribe it from our formulary.
And to add on to that, if you have lab draws that you've had recently and you have a prescription, it's much easier to get the ball rolling and give you the medication that day. Sometimes there are medications that require lab draw, so if you have your primary care records, it's helpful to bring those along.
And then the other thing I mentioned, or wanted to mention as well, would be the way I think about it, anything that kind of happens inside the four walls of our clinic is in the free to low cost mode, right? So depending on the healthcare plan, you might have that $30 deductible or co-payment. But if it is something that we would refer out, and we do that quite often, where we might see a patient that needs a referral to ortho, of course I just reviewed right there, but ortho, or could be endocrinology, or could be, you know, another specialist type situation. Just want to make sure everyone knows that actually is subject to normal insurance. So there'll be normal, you know, co-pays and deductibles and co-insurance and that kind of thing. Even though the referral comes from us, it would still hit the normal insurance program as well. So that's why I make sure we are clear on that. What we got to that? Thought we would. Are there any questions right off the top of the bat right now? Yeah.
You only carry generic.
Sorry.
You only carry generic
Yes,
medication?
for the most part, yes. I mean, there may be a clinic or two that has a brand name inhaler or something like that, but we actually normally don't.
So I would have to get mine from my primary care.
I would say let's check out what it is first, because there are an awful lot of generic, unless it's,
I can't.
yeah, so we'll I don't want to get too much into specifics, but we might want to have you just talk with our providers to kind of understand the situation, but that might be a good thing to understand that. So, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, most medications are, I would say all, 100% of our medications at our clinic are.
Is there another?
So after you see my spouse, is it possible for me to come and pick the medications up, or does he have to do it? It is.
Yeah, you can. We just have to have you sign the appropriate paperwork that says, yep, I allow my spouse to pick it up, kind of thing. And actually, obviously spouses are eligible to come see us as well. We hope they do, if they're on the benefit plan. Kids, I think we mentioned that, or maybe we didn't, but we do see kids as well, although we usually see kids probably 4 years of age and up, and primarily for acute things. We don't typically recommend that we become a pediatrician type relationship, because we'd always recommend younger kids have a longitudinal pediatrician that they would see over time for tracking and childhood immunizations and things like that. But if it's an acute need, sore throats, earaches, that kind of thing, we can definitely see kids. Anything to add to that?
Do we have to be with our spouse, or they can just sign up and go on their own as long as they're under our plan?
Yep,
We don't have to show up with them?
correct. As long as we have them in our system as eligible, which we would if they're on the plan, you wouldn't have to.
Bring your license if you're picking up a medication, especially for somebody else, so that we can compare that to the person's.
Yeah.
Do you have access to the medical records of the local hospitals and things like that?
We do not, and if it's a great question, if we, and not to say you have to, but a lot of folks do prefer to switch to us as their primary care provider. So Teresa sees a lot of people from Red Gold and Elwood as their primary care provider, so does Dr. Smith. We would probably at some point request records from an outside PCP or another provider just to make sure we kind of have the complete picture, but we unfortunately don't have, like, go in and see access or something. Which we do. What else? So, actually, Jill, you may know more about this, but I'm supposed to be open to.
We're supposed to be open early 2018.
Okay. I think I heard February, March.
February, March.
Yeah. So Burn, I don't know how close, I'm geographically challenged from here. I'm not sure how far Burn is, but that team will be very similar to the one that we have in Elwood, not people-wise, but composition-wise, very similar to the teams we have in Fort Wayne and Elwood as well, and probably a doctor and nurse practitioner as well. So that clinic will act and look a lot like the one in Elwood and the one in Fort Wayne too. So,
Yeah, the Kokomo location, Lisa, that Eastbrook and Oak Hill are using, those are the We Care clinics, and we're signed up for the Activate clinics. So as long as that's where Kokomo came in, but don't go there because I don't know to see it.
no, that's fine. So I would say this, hopefully, we may have a clinic in Kokomo not too far down the road, but I can't promise it yet, so we'll have to see. Yeah.
Our clinic hours are on this sheet on the bottom. On Mondays and Wednesdays, we are open from 8 to 5, Tuesdays, Thursdays 9 to 6, and Fridays 7 to 4. I noticed that the clinic in Fort Wayne does have a little bit more generous hours than we do, so hopefully we'll be able to take care of your needs with those.
If you have adult children that are on your plan, like I do, make sure you get this information to them so that they can use these clinics also.
Maybe the last thing, and you already, Teresa mentioned how we kind of roll in terms of our model. And we really feel like we can help people really understand their own healthcare, and the person that has the most influence on changing their healthcare is, of course, the person, it's the patient, right? So that is a big proponent, or a big component of what we do. The other thing to mention maybe is that we do have the opportunity for what we call coaching in between. So if, as part of a physical, let's say, Teresa or Dr. Smith might identify some needs in a patient of losing some weight and reducing high blood pressure and maybe reducing cholesterol, things like that. The team, the provider team, is available for ongoing kind of support with that. So it could be where you might come in once a month, once a quarter, whatever it might be. You're really not restricted at all in terms of the access that you would have to the clinic. So we would encourage people to maintain a connection to our providers and get the support you need to be able to make the most of the relationship that you can. So, that's it.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Anybody have any more questions?
So if you're with Activate, then you can't go to the weekly.
Correct. Stay within the Activate locations.
Yeah.
You said that there was like a list of prescriptions on your website.
The last time I checked, which was about 3 months ago, it was there. So if they
Yeah, our website's undergoing some construction, so it may have been inadvertently put somewhere else. So we can double check for sure and make sure they're out there.
okay.
Yeah, but just to reinforce that, we have, what we try to do when a clinic opens, and we did this about a year ago when the clinic opened initially for Red Gold and Elwood, is we try to have kind of a representation, I guess, sample of what the most common kind of needs might be related to, let's see, diabetes and high blood pressure and high cholesterol and things like that. So hopefully there's a good chance we'll have something that people would need. If, Teresa mentioned as well, if there is something that's that would be available generically that we don't stock, we would have a conversation with the employer group to make sure it's okay from a cost perspective to bring it in, and then we might be able to bring it in as well.
But we can certainly, we have that list at our clinic, so we can certainly fax that list to wherever you think might be helpful for.
Well, I click and it takes me to the different site. So
Okay.
that's what I'm looking at.
So that's valuable information for our IT team to know, so thank you for mentioning that. We'll make sure we mention it. I know we're throwing a bunch of information really quickly at you, but I would say if any question, if you were like, oh, I wish I would have asked this when the meeting's over today, definitely call the clinic at the number Teresa mentioned, and our team there is definitely able and willing to help you in any way we can. So if it's a question about can I do this, or how does this work, or whatever, definitely call the clinic as well, and we'll help you out as best we can. Yeah.
Just, I think I might know, but just curious, you know, it's free service, free prescriptions, free everything. Who pays for it? I
At
assume.
SCBT, behind the scenes. So we're contracted to SCBT directly, so the revenue we receive is paid for by the employer typically, so that's behind the scenes, that's correct. We do, though, part of the, I don't want to get too much on the sales pitch here, but part of the reason why it's great for providers we feel, for employers that we feel, is because we actually can leverage lower cost drugs and labs. What we pay for a lab test, like if you came in and got a blood draw and we send it out to our partner lab, we get a way reduced price, contracted price than a retail price would be in the outside world. So that's part of how we're able to save employers money, which our first #1 goal is to take care of people. That's the #1 thing we want to do. But behind that, close second is to help save our employers money that we contract with. So we're in the game to do both as best we can.
And just a reminder, if anyone's using long-term prescriptions, the Express Scripts mail order is still available to you. You can also, if you get a 90-day script from your doctor, you are able to take that to Meyer and still get the same mail order discount, but you gotta have a 90-day script. Our prescriptions are typically 90 days as well, and so you wouldn't have to come back every month. We do dispense 90-day to 100-day prescriptions. This is recorded, it'll be on the website tomorrow, so if anybody asks how the building's tomorrow, just refer to. Yeah, you should have done that here. All right, if that's, anybody else have a question? If not, you're free to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Where's the website?
Website would